Oh boy, yeah. We've been through it, haven't we, gamers? Yeah, it's been pretty wild to see, especially for the last 5 to 10 years. We've all gone through the being locked in our house for the betterment of 2 to 3 years, seeing video game prices increase, seeing chip shortages happen. We've also been through the crypto boom, where Ethereum basically ruined all GPU manufacturing across the board. And then we had to deal with the entire Bored Ape Web3 disaster as well, as everyone tried to go ahead and signify how NFTs are going to be the next big craze. Now, in terms of video games, we're dealing with the AI bubble. That's right, where 5 to 6 companies are trading billions of dollars back and forth between each other, not actually paying each other at all, and just handing each other IOUs, which is going to be a bubble that's going to burst anytime. And once it does, things are going to go to hell in a handbasket. But you see, we're not going to talk about anything super high level right now regarding AI. No, we're still going to talk about AI, but we're also going to be talking about how it's going to be impacting you as an actual consumer of video games right now and possibly even into the future. If you haven't been keeping up with things going on, it turns out that prices of RAM have exponentially increased basically overnight practically, at some points hitting 200% more than what they were normally being charged for just a few weeks or even a few months ago. This has been an astronomical thing to see, and one of the reasons why Valve may not in fact be putting out the price of the actual PC is mostly because of the price of RAM. When we went ahead and built the actual parts ourselves, we weren't able to get it below the $600 mark because of the fact that RAM prices were so incredibly high, and it's happening now more than ever. And the crazier part is, it's also going to be not just impacting PC gaming and everything else on that space, but also console gaming as well. And so next generation could in fact be one of the most expensive generations in video games possibly ever. Now, if you know anything about me or my kind of content, I don't like to spend any money practically ever at all, basically. Anything that I can do to save a buck, I absolutely will. And even then, that goes in time for buying PC parts. I've always felt like buying the most high-end product never really gives you the proper value for what you're spending. $2,000 on a GPU just to use AI-generated fake frames, and upscaling really doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially when you're seeing those same GPUs not properly put games out at 4K native or even go above 60 FPS at 4K native resolution. So what you're actually paying for with NVIDIA isn't even a good GPU, it's just basically a workstation GPU with DLSS bolted onto it, which really isn't good at all. The problem with all of this, though, is that even though Valve has been stating before that the Steam machine is going to be better than 70% of what you're seeing on the Steam hardware survey, what's actually happening right now, though, is it doesn't matter how good the hardware is going to be on the Steam machine itself, even though I've had my own criticisms about it. What's going to be happening now is every single kind of actual electronic that requires random access memory is going to be seeing an insane price increase. In fact, things are going to get probably even worse than what we saw back during the crypto boom. No, I'm not kidding. According to Jez Corden, Epic CEO talks RAM apocalypse as the DRAM demand threatens to blow up consumer tech pricing. Is Xbox exposed, and why is this happening? Now, there's a pretty specific reason why Jez Corden is talking about Microsoft and Xbox specifically. You see, according to Moore's Law is Dead, he made a comment recently saying how you're going to be seeing Xbox have a price increase on their consoles coming up rather soon, mostly because of the increase of DRAM prices happening in the market itself. You're seeing AI companies go out and buy all kinds of RAM and no longer have enough supply for proper consumers. These companies like Samsung and etc. are now making far more money selling to OpenAI and other AI companies rather than selling to you as a customer and consumer, which means prices will then exponentially increase for you as well, seeing as how you're not able to pay top dollar, but these companies actually are. The difference, though, is that apparently Microsoft didn't have the foresight, according to Moore's Law is Dead, to go around and buy all this RAM ahead of the curve, thereby putting them in a predicament and situation saying that, oh, now we're going to have to increase the price of the Xbox consoles. Personally, I'm kind of skeptical about that entire thing, seeing as how Microsoft also has their own AI, which they would have already been trying to buy DRAM sticks for in the first place, and that would have been pretty much trying to support Copilot as well. So I'm not entirely sure where that came from or how that's going to be, but that doesn't mean you won't see a price increase for Xbox consoles either, and it also doesn't mean you won't see them for PlayStation, and dare I even say Nintendo, if this bubble does not burst soon enough. But you know what? There's more to this story though, as Jez Corden points out, so let's read the article and go from there. Epic CEO Tim Sweeney says RAM price increases will be a real problem, as OpenAI will blow up RAM prices, threatening affordability of everything from Xbox to TVs and laptops. The AI fad is destroying the affordability of RAM, as demanding from OpenAI, Google, and others blow up prices. Why is this happening? With the article saying, quote, "In just a few weeks, the general price of consumer-grade DDR5 RAM has increased in some cases by as much as 110%, with products like Micron's Crucial Pro 32GB DDR5 kit effectively doubling in price in the space of a month, and things might only get worse." Speaking on X, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney described the scale of the problem as government-backed companies like OpenAI outbid consumer manufacturers on RAM fabrication properties. RAM price increases will be a real problem for high-end gaming for several years. Factories are diverting leading-edge DRAM capacity to meet AI needs, where data centers are bidding far higher than consumer device makers. Now, I'm going to be very upfront and honest. I pretty much never liked Tim Sweeney for a very long time, especially how his behavior has been with the Epic Games Store and how he treats PC gamers in the first place. However, though, it turns out that the person you dislike the most may have actually made a great point, and I think Tim is actually right about this. When you're looking at things like DDR5, you're seeing price increases hit an exponentially high number. 32GB RAM sticks cost an exorbitant amount of money. Hell, even 16 gigs of DDR5 are starting to get there in pretty high pricing as well, and that's going to be impacting a lot of people, especially looking to upgrade their actual PCs or even try to get a new game console like a PS5 Pro or even the Xbox Series X consoles, or even then on top of that, the Steam machine as well for next year. This could also impact everything else between TV pricing, laptops, and even VR headsets. Basically everything you use that has some sort of random access memory, basically everything in your house right now that uses AI in some way, yes, even your refrigerator does it too, will have their price increased because of the fact that these AI companies are trying to go through and bid higher to get more RAM and use it for their actual server farms to placate themselves using this AI technology. The problem is, though, AI isn't even where it's supposed to be. It's become more of a nuisance than it actually has been a form of actually helping the user in the end goal. The thing is, though, this is going to get worse before it gets better, seeing as how I mentioned before that so many devices, even in your own home, are reliant on DRAM especially, even though it may not be DDR5 specifically to PC gaming, but it also does rely on actual AI usage and even has so many other features added into it that could increase cost of technology just exponentially over time if this bubble does not pop or things do not go back down to normal. But it's going to get even weirder in this article. Trust me. Jez Corden continues the article by saying this: "Some manufacturers have stockpiled RAM specifically to avoid price increases on their products in the interim to try and weather the storm. There were some rumors that the Xbox Series X and S consoles, which have recently endured price increases, would be rapidly exposed to further increases as a result of this. Sources tell me that Microsoft does have a healthy supply of Xbox, Surface, and other RAM using stock for the time being." But of course, those stocks will not last forever for any manufacturer. Now, honestly, I'm not entirely sure what's going to be happening. Could we see another price increase for the Xbox Series consoles? 100%, absolutely. Could we be seeing them do it first? I honestly have no clue. We do know, however, that Microsoft does in fact have their own AI, which is called Copilot. And if I were a betting man, I would be betting that Satya Nadella was going around and striking deals to try and use that RAM for those Copilot servers. However, though, how it would impact Xbox in the first place for manufacturing? Really, nobody honestly knows. Trying to sit here and blame one company specifically as Xbox as if they're the only ones going to be suffering really is in fact a fool's errand. You're going to be seeing it happen across every other single manufacturer: PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, especially in the gaming space. And it's going to get even worse for those who are directly into PC gaming. We've weathered all these kinds of storms before with the GPU price increases and everything else across the board. But I can clearly bet and see you may in fact probably go out and some point find your PS5 Pro increasing in price once again. My guess is from $750 to either $849, another $100 on top of that, maybe even $799 to be more on the conservative side. You could probably see the exact same thing happening to Xbox on the Series consoles as well. Another $50 to $100 price increase across the board. The difference though is I would actually go ahead and say that even if PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo did in fact raise their prices, this would be the proper time to use the term market conditions. You see, before everybody was blaming tariffs and trying to make things political, when in reality, this truly is a market condition that would probably go ahead and make a price increase happen in the first place. So to me personally, it's not a matter of how much, but honestly, it's going to be a matter of when. Because if PC gamers are feeling it first and foremost, you're going to be seeing it happen across the board to every other single kind of consumer and developer console. These companies are no longer selling their devices at a loss. They want to make profit from every console sold, which is why Nintendo increased the price of their systems as well. So did PlayStation and Xbox. The time of actually going around and subsidizing your boxes to go through and bring people into an ecosystem is going to be coming to an end. Right now, companies are going to go through and say, oh, you're going to be better off buying our system, pay full price for it, and go ahead, we're going to make money off of it too. The thing is though, there's been one perspective that I honestly kind of really want to dabble with, and it's from Legendary Drops. And his perspective is basically this: companies like PlayStation, Microsoft, and so many others are trying to increase the price of the system, basically raise the floor on top of so many people to not make you spend more money on the consoles, but to provide you the actual cure, which is basically cloud streaming and streaming services, getting a guaranteed monetary income every single month without having to spend money on R&D and instead spending that money on AI in the first place. It's a very interesting take and perspective, and honestly, I kind of agree with it, and I can see that happening quite often. The simplest way for a company to make more profit and reduce any overhead in trying for manufacturing, shipping, logistics, and everything else would simply be to raise the floor of those devices in the first place, but then offer you the solution being cloud gaming, where you own nothing and you will in fact be happy as they go through and use their AI data centers to go and actually just provide you that content over the internet instead of you actually having a device, and they keep getting to pump more money into AI and raking in all those fake IOUs over and over again until the bubble eventually bursts. Hell, we've seen Xbox themselves have a rumor going around that there's going to be a free version of cloud streaming and Game Pass that is ad-supported. And things may in fact be getting worse for wear, because if this bubble does not burst quickly, then you're probably going to be seeing the Steam machine as well, costing anywhere between $700 to $800. Even though personally, I feel like those specifications for that kind of system should be far lower in price and in cost as we're seeing right now, especially for 8 gigs of VRAM. That's a bit too much money if you ask me. But even though that is a fun thought experiment brought up by Legendary Drops, I feel like there's going to be things getting even worse for wear, because it turns out RAM may not be the only thing being impacted by price increases because of AI. According to WCCF Tech, AMD has issued a notification to its partners that it will raise the prices of its GPUs by at least 10% due to rising memory prices. Saying, quote, earlier this month, we had reported that both NVIDIA and AMD were planning to increase the prices of their GPUs, especially the consumer-grade lineups, due to rising DRAM costs. Currently, NVIDIA and AMD and Intel utilize GDDR ICs to power the consumer-grade graphics cards. NVIDIA leverages the latest GDDR7 memory, while AMD and Intel leverage GDDR6, which, although not as performant as GDDR7, are cost-effective and allow the companies to offer higher VRAM offerings at a better value. However, the current DRAM supply is very tight, and the consensus is that AI is to blame for all of that. The huge demand for DRAM in the AI segment has caused severe bottlenecks in the supply chain and are further adding to this DRAM suppliers who, instead of opening more production lines, have slashed down production as per reports. With a 10% price hike across AMD GPUs, it would mean that AMD Radeon's RX 9000 GPUs based on RDNA 4 graphics architecture won't be available at MSRP at all. We only recently started seeing the price drop back to its original MSRP, and the current deal season has actually gotten them below MSRP. But it looks like this will be the best chance for gamers to secure a card at a reasonable price before AMD and its partners are left with no other option but to raise the prices. Now, you want to know what's incredibly funny about this story and what's happening right now with the price increases for possible AMD GPUs are two things very specific. Number one, AMD is the one designing the APUs for the next PlayStation and the next Xbox. They've also been the ones to design the APUs for the PS5 and the Series X and S consoles. So basically, if you're going to get a console, you're going to AMD. At the same time, though, what we're also seeing is back in October, AMD and OpenAI literally struck a partnership. They literally struck a partnership together to start using more AMD GPUs and information technology inside of OpenAI for a... Brother, come on. You can't get any more clear than this. This is literally racketeering and locking the entire market and screwing out the consumer in every possible way. Not only that, NVIDIA has also been part of combining themselves with OpenAI. These aren't GPU companies anymore. They're AI companies, and they're doing everything they possibly can to squeeze out every dollar and get through the gold rush that they can, and then screw you, the consumer and customer, out of as much money as they possibly can until the bubble actually bursts. But I think the funniest part about all of this isn't just the fact that these companies and corporations are going around screwing customers and consumers. I think the funnier part about all of that is console fanboys thinking that they're going to escape this entire price increase scot-free. Here's Push Square on Twitter saying this: suddenly the PS5 Pro doesn't look that expensive anymore. That's right, a PlayStation website dedicated to covering PlayStation news decided to go through and be like, well guys, I guess the PS5 Pro is not a scam anymore. It's $750, seeing as how if you buy 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM, you're going to be spending as much as a console and even more. A completely illogical take from any perspective whatsoever, as no one needs that amount of RAM in the first place, and at the same time, no one even barely needs 32 gigabytes. You can do fine and well with 16. And at the same token, people are getting even worse and more incensed about what's actually happening in the space, thinking they're going to be going away and never have to worry about a price increase at all because they feel like these companies will be subsidizing costs, when in reality, they want every single penny. Here's Tripster on Twitter saying this: consoles are about to take over. This is crazy, as he posts a picture of sticks of RAM off of Amazon, comparing it to the price of a PlayStation Pro console that is on sale for Black Friday. I don't really have to be the one to tell this actual clown what systems in fact use RAM. All of them use RAM, you fucking idiot. Basically saying this: if you're seeing all those prices of RAM increase exponentially, that means your PS5 Pro is going to also increase in price almost exponentially. Do you really think PlayStation is going to take a loss on selling a system to you? They've already increased the price of that console to $750 due to market conditions. Then they went ahead and dropped the price for a Black Friday sale by $100. At the same time, though, you're also using sticks of RAM at 64 gigs. Again, who is in fact buying 64 gigs of RAM except for someone running a server? It's almost like you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about on any conceivable basis. The funniest part about this entire tweet is, if you look at the actual view count, it's got 1.7 million views, but only 244 likes. Basically telling me, number one, my boy, using AI to bot your account for views isn't really paying off in the first place. Here is King Thrash, I can't land my spaceship on a gas giant, saying this: PC gaming is about to go out of business. Just get a Pro. It's only $750, cheaper than RAM. Nobody tell him. Just nobody tell this guy what is inside a PlayStation 5 Pro or even a PlayStation 5 or any console whatsoever. These dudes are so completely inept in every sense trying to understand what is actually happening to the gaming space at all. We're talking about PC gaming is about to go out of business. My boy, everybody is about to go out of business the way things are going. Not just PC gaming, but also Xbox and in fact your beloved PlayStation as well. Get ready to see $1,000 consoles next generation if this bubble doesn't even in fact pop, but you're too busy fanboying for a console. Way to go, my boy. Now look, even with all that idiocy aside, I think it's incredibly concerning to see what's in fact happening to the gaming space and gaming in general. We've been seeing a racket of developers and game publishers consistently go through and try to push the most insane visuals, the most insane graphics you possibly can, all the while trying to place the actual usage of optimization onto the player and consumer themselves, giving them the tools to say, hey, if you want it to actually run the way it's supposed to, spend the most money you possibly can on the highest amount of products because we would optimize our games for shit in the first place. And I think this is where gaming is going to head into a worse direction. Not only are you going to be seeing consoles next generation be exponentially higher in price, also PC gaming parts increase in price if this bubble does not pop, you're also going to be seeing, in my opinion, AAA game development hit an actual wall, where at some point it's going to be too expensive to actually make a game for AAA quality graphics rather than to go through and make something even more substantial and better for user interface in the first place. If Tim Sweeney is so worried about what's actually happening with the ramp prices in PC gaming, well, he should do the one thing everybody's been asking him to do and actually fix Unreal Engine 5 so it doesn't run like actual shit in the first place. PC gaming parts, components, consoles, and etc. are going to naturally have to have a longer life shelf and span. If people thought that the actual cross-generation between PS4 and PS5 was bad, you're going to be seeing it even longer between PS5 and PS6. People will not be able to afford to move over to the next generation of consoles, and the visual leap will be less and less moving forward, where one of two things will in fact happen. Either game developers and publishers will make themselves completely go bankrupt in order to try and continue this insane fucking cycle of trying to have even more things be more expensive and be more visually appealing, or they're going to have to go ahead and shut the fuck down because clearly they won't be able to afford what's happening in the first place, and you may in fact see the rise of the indie game come back once again. Honestly, I'd be kind of cool and down for it, not having to spend exorbitant amounts of money on hardware just to play a good video game. You're going to be seeing a lot of those smaller studios and smaller developers that prioritize optimization and running on weaker hardware succeed far more than AAA studios and developers not knowing what to do and spinning their wheels and failing entirely. This could be the thing that resets the gaming industry, and I think it's going to be pretty insane to see. But hopefully, the bubble pops quicker than we think, because if it doesn't, upgrading or even getting into PC gaming or console gaming is going to be a nightmare. But you know what? I want to see what you guys have to say in the comments section down below. Are you getting into PC gaming? Have you tried to go ahead and buy RAM at actual cost, or are you getting screwed on the back end? Are you going to be moving to consoles or the Steam Deck, which is basically $350 right now on sale, which is honestly kind of crazy and where I think people can really go and get a better experience overall. Let me know what you guys have to say in the comments section down below about this. I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and even live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 98K, and I just want to say thank you guys so very much for everything. I'm truly thankful and grateful that you spend your time with me every single day. It means the world. If you want Discord access or most during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just show up Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on this channel as I wear a banana suit and get insulted by viewers with AITTS. I even make myself sound like a dummy mommy because of it. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!